It all started in the grocery store parking lot on a Tuesday afternoon. Tuesdays are my peace days. I get off work early, grab some coffee, and hit the store. Before the weekend. Rush. Simple. Predictable. Serene. Until she showed up. Karen, though. I didn't know her name yet, rolled into the parking lot driving an oversized SUV that looked like it had never seen dirt but demanded respect from every sedan in its path. She turned sharply, ignoring the painted lines as if they were mere suggestions. I watched in disbelief as she took up 2 spaces. 2. Perfectly. Centered across the yellow divider. Like she'd just declared war on decency. Now, I'm not usually confrontational. But something about the way she stepped out of the car, sunglasses perched high, phone glued to her ear, and a little half-smirk that screamed entitlement, lit a fuse in me. I parked a few rows away, trying to shake it off. Not worth it, I told myself. Let karma handle it. But karma was apparently on lunch break because 15 minutes later, I came out with my groceries and saw her loading hers. Bags sprawled across both spaces like she was hosting a yard sale. That's when she noticed me staring. Is there a problem? She asked, that tone sharp enough to cut through steel. I smiled, tightly. No problem. Just admiring how you managed to make one parking space feel inadequate. She scoffed. Maybe if you worked on your anger issues, you wouldn't care so much about parking. And there it was. The spark. Anger issues. I said. Lady, you've got parking issues. She gasped like I'd insulted her ancestors. Excuse me. You heard me, I said, gesturing at her SUV's majestic sprawl. You're the reason parallel parking tests exist. People started looking. She huffed, climbed into her car, and revved the engine like she was about to run for president of the asphalt. I thought that was the end of it. I really did. But as she pulled out, she clipped the corner of the shopping cart return. Just a gentle kiss of karma, and drove off without looking back. I stood there, grinning like I'd won a moral victory. But I had no idea that this wasn't over. Because the universe, it seems, loves a sequel. And Karen? She wasn't the kind of woman to lose gracefully. The next day, my manager called me into the office. I work at the same grocery chain, different branch, same uniform. He looked uncomfortable, which is never a good sign. Ah, Mike, he said, scratching the back of his neck. Did you have an altercation in the parking lot yesterday? I blinked. Altercation. I had a conversation. He sighed and turned his monitor toward me. There she was, Karen, in full complaint mode. The store's feedback email had a 3-paragraph message. Written like a legal document. Accusing me of verbal aggression, emotional intimidation, and, my personal favorite, vehicular hostility. She said you glared at her in a threatening manner, my manager added. Glared? That's just my face. I said. And how does one intimidate someone verbally from 10 feet away? He didn't laugh. Look, we have to take these things seriously. Just maybe keep interactions outside of work polite, okay? I nodded, biting back a dozen sarcastic replies. I left the office simmering. Karen had taken a parking spat and turned it into a professional incident. She'd escalated from parking lot politics to full-blown HR warfare. That evening, I saw her again. Different parking lot, same SUV. She was outside the community center. Standing with her arms crossed, looking triumphant. Still angry. She called out when she saw me. I paused, forcing a smile. Still parking diagonally? She frowned. I reported you for harassment. You what? She nodded smugly. You shouldn't threaten people. I felt unsafe. Unsafe? You drive a 2-ton tank. Her phone was out before I could blink, recording. See? Aggression again. Karen, I said, lowering my voice. You can't just twist everything into a headline. Oh, I can, she replied. It's called accountability. That word stuck with me as she strutted away. Accountability. In her mind, she was a hero. But to me, she was chaos in a cardigan. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the moment in my head, the smirk, the recording, the accusation. I realized this wasn't about parking anymore. It was about pride. She'd drawn the battle lines, and I was standing right in the middle. And the worst part? I was starting to enjoy it. 2 days later, I found a note on my windshield. No envelope. No signature. Just a single, perfectly folded piece of paper. It read, "Maybe if you learn to control your temper, people wouldn't have to call management." No name, but I didn't need one. The looping cursive screamed Karen energy. I laughed. I actually laughed out loud, sitting there in my car. Because this woman had turned passive aggression into an art form. So I decided to reply in kind. I wrote back, "Maybe if you learn to park straight, people wouldn't have to learn deep breathing." I tucked it neatly under her wiper the next morning at the gym, where her SUV was yet again occupying 2 prime spots. Petty. Absolutely. Satisfying. Beyond words. But apparently, Karen didn't share my sense of humor. That evening, she went nuclear. I came out of the gym to find a police cruiser idling near my car. The officer waved me over. "You Mike?" Yeah. "We got a call. Someone reported you for vandalism." Vandalism. He pointed at Karen's SUV. There. On her back window, written in soap, were the words, "Park better, Karen." I nearly choked. "You think I did that?" She appeared then, dramatic as ever, phone in hand, already filming. "That's him, officer. He's been harassing me for days." "Harassing?" I said. "Lady, I've been avoiding you like gluten." The officer sighed. "All right, let's calm down. Any proof?" Karen pouted. "My proof is right there. His handwriting matches the note." "It's soap," I said. "Anyone could have written that." She gasped as if I'd insulted her soul. "You're a menace to the community." The officer finally separated us. No charges, thankfully, but he warned me, "Just steer clear of her, man. Some people thrive on drama." I drove off, fuming and laughing at the same time. Because now, it wasn't just about who was right. It was about who would quit first. And I had no intention of quitting. Weeks passed. Every time I saw her SUV, I felt a mix of dread and amusement. It became part of my routine. Like spotting a storm cloud that never quite rained but always threatened to. Then one morning, karma finally decided to clock in. I pulled into the lot early, coffee in hand. And there it was, Karen's SUV, wedged between 2 cars. Scraping the driver's side mirror of one. The parking lines mocked her from beneath the tires. And there she was, red-faced, arguing with a tow truck driver. "This is illegal," she shouted. "No, ma'am," the driver replied, calm as a monk. "You're blocking 2 spaces and a fire lane. Has to go." I stood a few feet away, sipping my coffee, letting the moment wash over me. She saw me. Our eyes met. "Don't you dare say a word," she hissed. I smiled. "Wouldn't dream of it." The truck hoisted her SUV slowly, majestically, like justice in motion. She stomped her foot, muttering about vindictive neighbors and unfair systems. I almost felt bad. Almost. When the tow truck drove off, she turned to me, defeated. "You're happy now, aren't you?" I shrugged. I wouldn't say happy. More like, balanced. She sighed, the fight draining from her face. "Maybe I did overreact." "And maybe," I said, "I overreacted too." There was a pause, an awkward human moment in the middle of asphalt and oil stains. Then she chuckled. "You really do have anger issues." I laughed. "And you really can't park." We both smiled, the truth settling in like sunlight after rain. Later, as I drove off, I realized something. Karen wasn't the villain. She was just the mirror I needed to see my own ridiculousness. Sometimes, it takes a parking lot war to realize how easily pride can turn strangers into enemies. Now, every Tuesday, when I see her parking, mostly within the lines, we exchange a nod. Not friendship exactly, but mutual acknowledgement. After all, some peace treaties start with petty wars. And sometimes, the battlefield is just a parking lot.